his chances. Oh, brilliant goal! A brilliant goal! Remember the name, Wayne Rooney.
Pirlo, ancora Pirlo di tacco, tiro,
Andrea Pirlo will take, and it's volleyed, and it's in. A goal in 50 seconds from Milan. Oh, would you believe it? Paolo Maldini, the skipper, has scored it. Balotelli, Aguero! I swear you'll never see anything like this ever again.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to the Footy Fans Podcast, episode 11. Andrew, Santo, and Joe, as always, here for your listening pleasure.
Here we are. Exciting week. We just had a lot of talking points.
I didn't know where to start.
Yeah,
because
I know where to start.
Well, the big news, though, the big news came from, right after our last podcast, right?
Right after, yeah.
Joe Stradamus, again, saying how Nuno only has a few games left, I think. Is that what you said? You have a few games left?
I can't remember.
I think he said he might have had just a few to try and prove himself.
What's the schedule like? I think I've said maybe 1 or 2 games.
Yeah,
well, I wouldn't call Nostradamus. I thought they were going to be sweet at the start of the season.
Yeah, but I'm saying
Joe saying Tottenham was going to win. No, well, granted,
I
said top 4, but granted, that's before the Kane fiasco. Yeah, contingent on Kane, which he stayed and did nothing. Is doing nothing. So that didn't help. I think Santo's feelings are pretty obvious.
Yeah,
on this one. But just to say what Santo's about to say, I do. I have one friend that I work with. He's a Tottenham fan. He's like, yeah, like Nuno had to go, but like we always say, what was he supposed to do in the circumstances? They didn't pick up anyone new, and Kane is a depreciating asset. It's like I think he did the best he could under the circumstances. And I'm not sure. Yeah, they have Conte. He'll probably get a bit more out of the squad, but I think top 4, whether it's Conte or Nuno, is a bit of a reach for the state Tottenham's in right now. So it is a little tough. We'll have to see what happens in the transfer window.
Yeah, basically ditto what Joe said. It's just this ongoing thing in the modern Premier League era of making it as hard as possible for a coach to succeed. Super short term, like we're bringing you in and we expect to jump up the table.
Yeah,
so,
no new players.
Let's get really quick results. It's like someone gambling on the stock market. Like, hey, let's put some money in here, and then we got to make a return right away. And at least for me, taking over a team, it's a long-term project. Just like with Sir Alex Ferguson back in the day when he was doing bad at Man U at the start, he was going to get let go, and then, or I think he was going to leave, and then things worked out where he stayed. Can you imagine if they would have let Sir Alex Ferguson go?
Yeah,
after not succeeding early on.
Yeah.
So, obviously there's a balance that has to happen if a coach isn't cutting it. Nowhere do I think 10 games.
Yeah, 10 games into taking over a new team with taking over Tottenham, who doesn't want to spend, who don't really have a striker besides Son right now, and you want results right away. It's very, very tough. I think it's with anything. I know even with Liverpool, Klopp wasn't, he wasn't killing it like he is now.
Mm-hmm.
At start, he was
fighting
for top 4. It's like, can you imagine? No, we want you to win the title this year.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I think a club has to find an owner or a coach that it's this is going to be our guy long term, and at least give him the benefit of the doubt to run through a season, and then okay, it's not going well. Let's see how the next season starts, and give him it would make sense if this was Nuno's second season and there was no changes.
Yeah,
makes sense. But 10 games in, what's he gonna do in 10 games? Very tough.
It's the table's just starting to take shape, but Still, there's how many points? 10 points separating the top 9 sides.
Yeah.
Still a pretty big gap. But, that can fluctuate, given you get a few wins, top teams drop points, like the table can just taking shape, into the season. You didn't even get past Christmas. Christmas is crazy, especially with all the games you play, you could make big leaps in the table.
Yeah.
So, we could say this over and over again, but not to sound like a broken record. I just hope that owners of teams just figure out that you have to have some level of commitment to your coach.
Yeah. I mean, granted, I did hear what someone said, and it is true. He probably wasn't the right appointment in the first place. With the EPL, if you want to get top 4, you have to look at, Tottenham should have been like, hey, we're going against Tuchel, Guardiola, Klopp. It's like, was Nuno going to be the guy to be the other big 4 out of those guys? Very, very tough. I think, they got Conte, and now they can actually look at him and be like, hey, this, he could be the guy.
Yeah,
so that was a good, obviously now they have the guy. I hope they stick with, granted they might not make top 4 this season. I hope they stick with him next season, even if they don't take top 4, because like you said, that is someone they could stick with to get into that, elite of managers, because he is one.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. But that's just something I heard, and I thought it was true. It's like if you're looking for top 4 in the EPL, you can't. Same thing with Man U. Like Ole in that group of players is going to be the other 4th guy in that top tier of managers. Very tough.
Yeah.
Well, even when it came down to the hiring process for Nuno or for Tottenham, he was like the 9th person on their chart. Like they tried to sign like 3 or 4 guys like before Nuno was even an option.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like they tried to sign a couple of guys like from the German league that ended up signing with Dortmund. Some guy went to coach the actual German national team. There's talks of Pochettino coming back because he was kind of complaining about the PSG gig a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So like, he was in talks coming back again. Gattuso was a name. Conte was talked to like in the off season as well. And then all these guys basically turned it down. And then Nuno was like the last resort kind of guy.
Yeah.
So from that point on, he always kind of had like one hand tied behind his back because he wasn't even looked at as like the savior for Tottenham.
Oh yeah.
To like bring them to like the next level. So, I mean, like it's kind of like from a confidence standpoint, that's gonna kind of suck for him.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, like you guys have been saying, like he wasn't given enough time to even establish himself as the manager.
Yeah.
Like he was still riding off of what Pochettino and Mourinho did from last season because he didn't get the leverage to even make any off-season deals.
Yeah.
Like he had no, ability to do so, and he got signed so late as well in the season. Like. Yeah. I think it was maybe end of July. I think he got signed. Right. So season starts mid August. So you have like 3 weeks of training before your season actually kicks off. So I think from that point, like it was kind of an uphill battle just from the start. And then obviously like Kane's performance dips. Son has not been the Son that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Lloris is getting older at the back. They don't have an established, center back like Vertonghen and Vermaelen again like they used to have. Vermaelen? No, Vertonghen and
it's been dire lately.
Yeah, I'm talking a couple years ago, not Vermaelen. Oh my god.
Who are these players?
Vertonghen and Vermaelen, I'm getting them both confused. Toby Alderweireld. Alderweireld, yeah. How's the other one?
Yeah.
Him and Vertonghen.
Yeah.
Were like, towers back there.
Yeah.
For years. Like they were like, kind of what Tottenham pride themselves on, like defensively, and then they had obviously their counterattacking abilities, but those guys are all gone.
Right.
I didn't know Vertonghen left, to be honest.
Oh yeah, I think like 2 seasons ago.
Jeez.
Or maybe mid last year or something. So, I mean, they've been decimated in different spots and haven't found suitable replacements because these guys have been established Tottenham players for years now that, you can depend on them. And now like you're kind of throwing kids into like the mix a little bit. Or like Dyer's not a pure center back. He's like more defensive midfielder. And he's taking all your center back roles. And clearly we've seen some holes at the back.
Yeah.
Just multiple times, either between him or Ben Davies or whoever.
Yeah.
And like attacking, I mean, it's a completely tale of 2 seasons.
Oh yeah.
Like obviously last year was not Kane's like coming out party because he's been doing it for years, but him and Son had like just a dynamic duo of a season.
Yeah.
They scored 68 goals last year total.
Yeah, it's
which I think was like top 4, top 5. They finished in 7th last year, but they were top 4, top 5 in scoring. This year they have 9 goals for.
Yeah.
Like,
Big change.
I don't know how to extrapolate that over 38 games, whatever it is, but like, that's not many.
No, it's not gonna get close to last year.
So yeah, they're missing holes everywhere, and again, like we've talked about it at length, how it's easier to just fire the manager mid-season as opposed to replacing a whole starting 11.
Right.
So Nuno kind of got the shit end of the stick. Antonio Conte coming in, obviously an established coach.
Yeah.
Multiple, like, just look at his track record with Juve, with Inter, with Chelsea, obviously. I found some stats about him. He has a 67% win percentage in the EPL. It's only based off 76 games,
Yeah.
but that puts him like top 5 all time.
Right.
I mean, like Sir Alex
Yes.
Ferguson's like up there as well, but he has like 1,000 games or whatever.
Yes, all the games.
Like it's actually nuts. Yeah, I think he has like
Yeah.
900 something games managed and like 500 something wins or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a crazy stat, but I mean, yeah, like hopefully he kind of takes reins and takes control of the locker room, because who knows if Harry Kane's doing that right now?
Yeah.
Like we expect
probably
him to be
not.
the guy,
Yeah.
but clearly with his dip in performance, maybe his dip in leadership also has taken
Yeah.
taking a hold of like the locker room and all that. So Conte's, he's a fiery guy.
Yeah.
Like he's an animated coach. He expects and demands a lot from his players.
Yeah.
Very defensive minded, which will hopefully shore up those 16 goals against that they have this season, which is like
Right.
one of the worst in the league.
Yeah. -7 goal differential right now.
It's terrible. They're the only top 10 team that has a negative goal differential. Oh no, Wolverhampton also.
Yeah. -1.
I mean, it's -1, not -7.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I said, Conte is one of those top coaches. I can see him as one of those coaches next to Tuchel, Klopp, and Guardiola, managing one of the best teams in the EPL. Definitely like the signing of him. So my frustration with Nuno leaving has nothing to do with Conte coming in, because I'd like seeing him in the EPL. It's just, I mean, there's lots of stuff that could have went on in the background. Maybe Conte opened up to the offer. I think there could have definitely been some talks of Conte coming, weeks and weeks ago while Nuno was still managing Tottenham, and it could have just been like he at any point, if Tottenham found an excuse to fire Nuno, now that they could have got Conte. So could never know what happens, but it's, I guess that's maybe, I don't want to say the uglier side of football, but kind of the side that you don't like to talk about, because at the end of the day, it's people's jobs, and you give them almost no chance. So
Well, you got to expect them to do something though, like behind the scenes.
yeah,
Like obviously, there's tons of talks going on. Like
of course,
you see on Drive to Survive, the Netflix show with like Formula One,
Madness. Yeah,
and how it's just like crazy backroom deals happening like mid-season,
yeah, all the time.
like
Yeah.
private little dinners and like meetings and like hotel rooms. It's like the season's still going on.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
guys are talking about leaving. You're talking about leaving teams.
Yeah,
and, like signing
and
other.
like some drivers like halfway through the season, like, oh, I'm going to McLaren.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
think that's the
you still
craziest
got a race.
thing. That's,
Yeah.
the,
Still got
that's
a
the
race.
wildest thing I've ever seen. Like, imagine that just happens like this season. Like Ronaldo's just like, yeah, I'm actually going to go back to Real Madrid next year,
But you gotta
like,
finish up the
I'll
season.
finish playing here, but I'm definitely leaving.
Yeah, it's something
like,
you
what
don't
the hell?
see. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing about Formula One, where because it's you do have a teammate, and obviously we've learned that your teammate's like your biggest rival in Formula One, and it's just funny how you have this entire organization that cares about the team, like McLaren, Ferrari, and then you have two drivers that at any point they could just leave your team.
Yeah.
Generally only care about themselves, but yeah, you don't see that in football, right?
I mean,
So-
it just because you don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
This
obviously.
is true,
But
yeah,
they have to do the due diligence and try and find a replacement, even if things are going down, like going sour. I wonder if like Tottenham kind of pulled like a Ronaldo against United, because they were hyping Antonio Conte to take the United job. Like
Right,
if Solskjær
yeah.
was to get sacked or whatever, and then I don't know where Conte signs with Tottenham.
right.
And it's like, if you're Antonio Conte, which team would you rather take over? If you had the choice, if let's say it's in a few weeks from now, and Tottenham and United are both losing their managers, Antonio Conte has a choice to pick either one or two sides going into January with a free transfer window coming up.
Yeah.
What side do you think he's going to pick?
I would. I'm
Tottenham.
just gonna say Tottenham, just because I feel like there's so much politics involved with Man U. He would probably not get any of the players he wanted, and it would be like a nightmare for him.
Yeah.
I'm assuming with Tottenham, I think he has more not authority, but more in a spot to say, it's like, I know you guys don't spend a lot, but look where you guys are. Like, I need this, and this. Where you can, if you said that to me and he was like, yeah, but we're not interested. Like, we just want these because, like, you know, we're this conglomerate and we want to make money.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like with Daniel Levy, you could just go and be like, listen, you want to win trophies. You're not behaving like you want to win trophies. This is what I need to happen in the transfer window. So,
yeah,
like he carries a weight with him when he talks and like when he demands something because he's established as a manager.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't say like Nuno and Solskjær aren't respected, but they're just not in the same league, I guess, or same level.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe as respect that Conte would have, where he could just walk into like a boardroom and say, "This is what," like what Joe said. "This is what you need to win."
Yeah,
like, I've been around teams that have won. This is how I've operated before.
Yeah,
you guys haven't won shit, like
I
ever. So
just granted, with the way Man U's been conducting themselves, I feel like winning trophies is like second now, and like making money is like first.
Yeah,
as bad as that sounds,
it does sound bad. But also, I think with Tottenham, like I think their players are more coachable.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
Like on paper, you might look at both sides and be like, okay, market value, United is like, you know, leaps and bounds ahead of Tottenham.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at the players and the chemistry that you could see them playing together.
Yeah.
I mean, I've said it until I'm blue in the face. Like, I think United is like a team of individual players.
Yeah.
Maybe some guys, you know, like can work together and have some chemistry, like Ronaldo and Bruno Fernandes, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think with Tottenham, it's like they're very coachable players. And I think they want to learn. I think they want to play together well. United, they just go out and play.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it works for them, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, I think there is like more opportunity at Tottenham to get to where they want to get to, because I think Man U, at the end of it, they have an ownership issue, not really a performance issue. I mean, obviously their performances have been pretty poor, but at the end of the day, I think their issue is big time. You know, you have an entire fan base that doesn't like your owners, and you're rebelling at the stadium and all that. So, yeah, I think the potential at Tottenham, especially now, it'll probably be better for Conte going forward. And speaking of Man U,
yeah,
we had the probably the most anticipated game, I think, in the EPL schedule. A lot of people say it's Man U Liverpool. I think the Manchester Derby has its own flair to it. It's a game I look forward to the most nowadays in the EPL, but wasn't the most exciting as we've seen in the past.
No, it was a dominance without like the thrashing.
Yeah,
like if you look at the scoreline at just 2-0, that doesn't dictate.
That flatters manual.
Yeah, exactly. It does not dictate how the game went.
Said, it's like the only difference between this game and the Liverpool game is all of Liverpool's chances went in. Man City had plenty of themselves, and they could have all went in. It could have been another 4 or 5-0 scoreline.
Yeah.
Oh, at least if that. Yeah.
Lucky for they have De Gea, who sat on his head for the 20 minutes when they were getting that thrashing.
Yeah. I've been a criticizer of De Gea for a while, but he played really good.
Yeah.
Like, this game could have been at least, 4, if not 5, like I said. Like, quality chances. Like, I'm not just saying that because the game was, like, blown out. Like, legit quality chances that could have gone in or should have gone in.
Absolutely.
De Gea stepped up big.
And had to save another own goal. You know, they got unlucky with the first one. By at 7 minutes.
And that was by his first start of the season, too, eh?
Yeah, real tough.
Yeah, very. And that's the kind of decisions, like, you're going to put in a back three. I don't even think they played a back three all season.
I don't think so either, no.
And I think someone, who was it? Michael Owen was saying it before the game. It's like, I think City knew they won before they started. And someone had a great graphic. It was showing the average positioning of the Man U players and the Man City players throughout the game. And Man U was all over the place. They were so bunched together. And that's why City played. Like, if you saw the formation, it was like a 4-1-5. Yeah, because they were playing so deep, so they just pushed Bernardo Silva and De Bruyne right up against their back three, and they couldn't do anything because Man U was so out of shape. Yeah, so that was not the best coaching decision, I would say. And I think that's where Pep Guardiola's mindset comes in, where he just knows the game so well. He can just look at a lineup. It's like, oh, we just gotta. You guys play higher up the field, and they're done.
Well, they push. So you have your front three, but then you had De Bruyne and Silva pushed up with them, playing super high, basically playing 5 up front, like you said. Then with Guardiola's style, plays the inverted outside backs, and they could come inside all day because Man U wasn't pressing them. So you're basically playing with 2 center backs. You have your inverted defenders. You have Cancelo coming in who could play just as good as any midfielder, and Walker coming in with Rodrigo. And they still control the middle of the field. You have you have two outside backs, I guess you'd call them, for Man City coming inside, and Man U's midfield was still non-existent. Yeah, and they still controlled everything. But McTominay, Fred, they were nowhere to be found.
Yeah, and for United's way to counterattack that was like by putting 5 midfielders across the middle, and there was still space.
Yeah,
for a City to go into. And I didn't really pick up on this until like later on in my, like when I kind of explored more than just the English game, like watching other teams play in other leagues. Yeah. But it wasn't until I started watching more Barcelona games, and there was one game that was on, and Thierry Henry was actually doing the commentary, like I think at halftime, and like it kind of blew my mind a little bit because when we were younger, there was no like tactics really to play. Like you had formations and you had positions and you had like certain players that were like, this guy's really fast and right-footed, so he's in the right wing, or like go over there. Like that's our strategy.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I started like watching other teams and like getting more into the tactics that there's actual positioning and there's actual like strategy going on in the game that you just totally don't notice unless you actually like look for it.
Yeah.
And I remember Henry was saying how it was actually when Pep was coaching Barcelona still. And he was saying how this player is like doing this one thing. I forget who the player was. This is such a long time ago. But he's like hugging the line here because he knows that, I don't know, during like the 6th pass in the sequence that's happening on the opposite side of the field, he knows that on the 6th pass, he's making a run down the middle of the field or something. Yeah. So like he's hugging the touch line to like stay out of the play, but he knows like when that 6th pass comes, it's his turn to like make a diagonal run and go on a breakaway kind of thing and try and score. And like that's like Pep's strategy. Like that's like Pep's brain like working.
Yeah.
And then another thing today on the yesterday for the game was, I think it was Silva, like was basically on the hip of like Luke Shaw or something.
Yeah.
And like he was basically holding his jersey down and like pinning him to his spot, which allowed De Bruyne to make a run like along the wing or something because like he sucked Luke Shaw in. He kept him on his hip and like it drew him into like out of the play and then just created space for like De Bruyne and like Jesus to do like a 1-2 pass or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like even though Bernardo Silva is not involved in the play, he's not getting the ball. His run that he made and like just his positioning on the field to stand in that spot, took Luke Shaw out of the play, opened up the right side of the field, and they came down and almost scored off that.
Yeah.
And like it's mind blowing how some teams work like that, and then you have a team like Newcastle who just runs around the field.
Yeah.
And like you can see it.
Yeah.
Or a team like, Norwich, we chirp the 2 worst teams in the league, but a team like Norwich who again they just go out there and play. And like you don't really see much tactics, you don't really see much strategy.
Man U kind of feels like they do that.
Well, I agree though. That's what comes back to my whole individualized of like play of their team. Like they just don't seem structured.
Yeah.
Like you have world class players. Mason Greenwood's been like a stud the last couple of years. Yeah. Like he's really shown up.
He's really come out of
like he's playing over Martial and Rashford. I know Rashford's been hurt, but he's playing over Martial, Lingard, Sancho even, and like he's been. I mean, he hasn't been showing up in the score sheet as much.
Yeah.
But he's still getting those minutes.
Yeah. He's playing really well.
Like Ronaldo's Ronaldo. Bruno Fernandes is probably like the MVP of the season last year for me personally. Like just quality guys.
Yeah.
But then they just like when they play against like heavy competition and well-coached competition, you see that disconnect and you see the breakdown.
Yeah.
And again, it might come down to coaching. It might come down to the players that they have just aren't maybe tactically aware, or they're not like their knowledge of the game isn't as good as some players on City.
Yeah,
because that's got to come into play too.
Yeah,
like you don't want to say like they're like dumb players. That's really weird, rude way to say it. But like IQ of the game and like seeing like the vision of the game, that comes with skill, that comes with experience, and it obviously comes with coaching. And I mean, there's no better team to look at than Man City.
Right,
players like De Bruyne, Gundogan. Like I said, Bernardo Silva has been like my best player of the season, maybe for me personally.
Oh yeah,
like just unreal playing and unreal movement on the field, and that just all comes down to just building the right team, getting the guys you want, getting the guys will adapt to your strategy and your playing style, and then just converting when you have to.
Yeah,
and that's Pep ball 101.
Yeah, and that it's bad when Paul Scholes before the game says he'll take a draw. Because he made a good point though, because even when he was on Man U and in those glory days of Man U, when they would play Barcelona
and when Pep was coaching them, he said it was a different game. You had to kind of humble yourself and know that you're not going to see the ball for most of the game.
Oh yeah.
And you have to play a completely different game because they're just simply a better team. So I guess that's probably the one thing where, you can't really see Man U and Man City on a level playing field anymore just because of what Pep's done with Man City. So it is one of those games where you have to play counterattack, hopefully score. Obviously getting an own goal is probably the worst situation that could happen early on in the game, in a game like this.
It sits you back right away. All your thought that you could all your prep. It's okay, guys, we get out there. We're gonna really press them. Own goal 7 minutes in.
Yeah.
It's oh well, shit.
Yeah, the early goal will crush you if you're any team going against a better team. That early goal just
and of course the way it goes into I don't want to say it's not undeserved. No one deserves an own goal against them,
right?
But City even at that point was playing so much better.
Yeah.
Where it's from the first kickoff of the game, it's City just had the ball the whole time.
Right.
Before that own goal even went in, they might have scored 2 goals before that.
Yeah, a goal was deserved at that point.
A goal was deserved, not that way of maybe going in.
No.
But it wouldn't surprise me if they wouldn't have scored in the first 10, 15 minutes anyways.
Yeah. Right.
On their own merit.
Yeah.
Unfortunate for Bailly, like we said, it was his first start of the season. Welcome to the EPL 2021.
Gets subbed off at half too.
Yeah, he did. Jane Sancho came in at halftime.
Yeah.
Already down 2-0. Come win us back this game, buddy.
Yeah.
Here's your moment to shine.
Yeah.
This is the moment we've been waiting to play you for.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this?
What are you supposed to do?
Losing 2-0 against the best team in the league. Now I'm going to make my chance to come in here and, show what I got.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. And Bernardo Silva, obviously probably the best player for Man City this season so far. Getting a goal that I didn't even think went in when it first saw it.
Yeah.
He slipped one by De Gea for the amazing game De Gea had. That's the goal. That's the second goal that he lets in. Sleeping by Luke Shaw and I think Maguire or Lindelof who went by. And he just, tucked it in and didn't even know he scored until he actually saw the ball in the net. But
De Gea saves the hard ones, lets the easy one kind of go in.
Yeah.
I think it was more the surprise factor than anything. He just didn't think Silva would probably get to that ball.
No.
And that being said, though, he's still hugging the post. He was De Gea was on the post.
Yeah,
I
think he just didn't react fast enough.
Well,
but I think in slow motion, obviously it looks bad. But I think in real time, because Bernardo Silva, when he made contact with the ball, he was literally a foot off the post. Mm-hmm. He was super close. So ball's getting whipped in, and you come and you touch the ball that quickly. From it's half the distance from me to you, and a ball's coming whipped in. I just touch it. It's. Mm-hmm. I can see how it's tough to save. It was more so the defending for me. But I think 9 times out of 10 that ball goes out for a goal kick. So credit to Silva, just poaching and probably a goal they didn't need because I think they would have went on to win anyway. But came from somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. Bring up that article I posted in there too.
Crazy stats.
Yeah, so I found this posted after the game. I didn't really look at much of it, so I kind of wanted to take a dive at the same time you guys do.
Yeah.
So I thought the numbers that they list here, I thought it was stat 1, stat 2, stat 3.
Yeah.
But the corresponding numbers have something to do with why it's there.
Okay.
So then here, 2, Manchester United had more shots attempts on their own net.
Yeah,
than they did on Man City's.
I saw this one where, Bai had classified as a shot on net because it was an own goal. Victor Lindelof almost put it in the net from 3 yards out, and then they had to make a little foot save there. So that was 2 shots on their own net by Man U, and they didn't have that many against Man City. So
yeah, and that was the thing. De Bruyne didn't even have to play well.
Yeah,
to have an impact on the game, which is very rare. And I think that goes back to something I heard someone else say. It's the difference between Crystal Palace when they beat Man City and United was Crystal Palace actually showed grit to go on and let's take it to them. Man U was just nothing. Mm-hmm. It literally felt like nothing. No one was sticking in tackles, making it tough. They sat back and just let it happen.
Well, I think. Sorry, I heard before the game was talking where I think a lot of this game actually, and I think this sounds really bad, especially for Man U, and I don't know how true it is, but
most of this game was just Man U making sure another Liverpool scenario didn't happen,
It was
then
damage
trying
control.
to win the game
Damage control.
from the start, which is bad. Because if you're Man U going to Manchester Derby,
It's like, let's
as a
try
fan-
not to lose 5-0. It's
Yeah.
like, that's your attitude going to Old
Like,
Trafford.
guys, we know we're gonna lose, but let's just not make it 5.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
That's such an awful way to look at things.
so who knows? I mean, at the end of the day, speculation. But judging
Yeah.
by how they played,
Yeah,
could've
no
definitely
one.
been-
There was no. They had one good like Ronaldo's left-footed volley.
Yeah.
That's I think the only time they actually got forward in the whole game.
right.
So it's like they were just waiting for the ball to bounce their way and saw an opening to take it and not trying to create anything. I don't know. Very
Yeah.
strange.
But yeah.
I think the next craziest stat is number 21.
Yeah. And perhaps the most staggering stat to emerge from Saturday's contest, 21% of Manchester United's home defeats in the Premier League history have now come with Solskjær at the helm. Oy. Yeah, that's bad.
Like, that's a stat you do not want to be part of when it comes to Man U lore.
Nope.
Like, that's absurd.
Yeah.
Think of the history and the pedigree. I mean, they've only had like 5 coaches in the last 30 years,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
So Alex Ferguson taking up 75% of the
Which
all the
actually, when
time.
you put it that way, it's not that crazy, actually. Like, the Premier League started in like the 91 or something.
Mhm.
And so, like, literally,
Yeah,
that's
like
been like almost
modern.
30-something years.
Yeah.
And yeah, they've had, Sir Alex Ferguson for 20,
For most
4 of those years, whatever
Yeah.
it is. Like,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
it's actually not that many. It's not like it was like a coaching carousel throughout their history,
Right.
like some other teams. But I don't know, it's just like a staggering stat to look at because his tenure has been so short.
right.
And it's not like it's just an amount of losses. It's like a legit percentage at base as a whole. So like that's actually a lot of percentage of their team history.
Right.
In 2 years, is that what he's been there? 2.5 years?
Yeah. Yeah, it's still not a good stat,
No.
especially on if you're a Man U fan right
Well,
now.
And especially because I know the scoreline. Well, it's like you said, they were trying to make a Liverpool not happen again. But I know the scoreline was 2-0. But even just looking at these stats, it was so one-sided. Like the
Yeah.
most one-sided I've seen a 2-0 game ever. What? Like saying 753 passes against Man U.
Yeah.
And
And Man U had, I think, 200 something. So not even close. And I don't, there was maybe a few spells in the game. Like I probably count on one hand when Man U actually had like some composed possession. And it was like towards the end of the second half when Man City was just kind of hanging out and keeping Man U in front of them. But yeah,
It was just everything.
all around. We could bash Man U all day on that. But like we've talked about, they need an overhaul. So
Do we still think it's a manager overhaul or a team overhaul?
I think they need an ownership
They need an
overhaul.
Yeah, I mean,
they need manager.
If
and
we
then-
were pulling the strings, then yeah, we would
Yeah.
say gut the whole program, basically.
Well, they need, unfortunately, they didn't get Conte, which they could have really used. 'Cause they need someone to go in and get the best out of his players, and whoever's not fitting into the system, like no matter who it is, it's like Pogba, like your attitude sucks, like you're gone. You know
And
what I mean?
Conte would do that.
Yeah,
Conte is one of the main reasons why Diego Costa left Chelsea.
yeah.
which
Like,
was
after winning,
yeah,
the EPL title,
yeah.
and they kind of came to blows, and then it's like, okay, go back to Atletico.
Yeah.
And then obviously Conte left Chelsea because they stunk. But, so, with having a fiery manager and a big ego with the manager, I mean, comes with the clash of heads between fiery and big ego
Yeah.
players too, like the whole Mourinho and Pogba scenario as well.
Right.
Mourinho maybe didn't have the backing or the support from management that Conte maybe would have had.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously we can't say, but a lot of times I feel like when it comes down to like the player or the manager gets a shit end
Yeah.
because he's
I
more
agree.
expendable, right?
Yeah.
No one's going to go buy Mourinho jerseys,
This is true.
right?
This is true.
So yeah, I personally thought Conte would have been the guy for United. I think he would have been a good fit.
Yeah.
Tottenham, good on them for swooping him up. Like, what if? I mean, it'd be crazy if like Tottenham surpasses United this year,
Yeah.
like in the standings. I mean, it's not out of the realm.
Mm-hmm. It would just be sad to see Man U turn into another Arsenal where they're so, because Arsenal, especially when Wenger was there, they were doing, I mean, really well. I mean, if Man U is doing as well as Arsenal is doing back then with Wenger on a consistent basis, I think they'd be pretty happy. But, Arsenal wasn't really winning any trophies, but they were, running a business, and they were one of the few teams that were constantly in the black every year.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope that doesn't happen with Man U, because I think at the end of the day, the only reason you have fan supporters is because you're winning games and winning trophies.
Mm-hmm.
No one really cares about your bottom line as a company when you're a fan. So
Yeah, because the fans will show up regardless.
right,
Like even if they got like relegated, fans will still be there.
yeah,
If they drop sale prices, they drop ticket prices, fans will still be there.
yeah. They're the lifeblood of every team, right? So moving on to the Chelsea Burnley game.
Yeah.
Raging Andrew here.
Well, okay. I thought so. Watching the United City game, like obviously, like that matchup is like pretty heavyweight, listed. And I'm like, okay, Chelsea's against Burnley. So I'm like, whatever happens in the United City game, like if there's a crazy upset and like United wins, that's amazing. If City wins, it doesn't matter. We're playing Burnley. We're going to win anyways, and we'll still be, X amount of points ahead. I think it would have been 4 points ahead,
Right.
if they both would have won. But I mean, I saw on Twitter someone put, as a Chelsea pundit, he said something how people were like going in his DM saying like, "I told you we don't need Lukaku. I told you we don't need Werner for this team to win," because they were pulling off a string of wins, mixed in with like the championship and not championship, the what's it called? Yeah, the EFL tournament championship, whatever it is, Carabao Cup thing. And then also Champions League without Werner and Lukaku. But then it's like when you get down against these gritty Burnley teams and like a mid-table team that just fight,
Yeah.
that's when you need your killer instinct.
Yeah.
And I feel like without Lukaku, I mean, I'm not going to put Werner in the realm of like a killer instinct player.
Bernie, don't
Because that would go against everything I've ever believed in when it came to him.
Yeah.
But missing a pure striker like Lukaku really shows in a game like this when the chances were like so there.
Yeah.
And they just didn't have strikers putting the ball away. And this is a game where it came back to bite them in the ass. And this is kind of like reminiscent of the Chelsea of last season before Lukaku came.
Yeah.
When they were playing Werner in that role, or when they were playing, Kai Havertz or Mason Mount and like that kind of false non-attacking role.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't possess a killer instinct.
Yeah.
And I mean, we saw it in the highlights and like the replay. Callum Hudson-Odoi could have had 2. Pulisic came on really late. He had like another decent chance. Ross Barkley had like a sitter on the top of the 18, skies it over the net. Like these are balls that I think will be put in the back of the net if they were playing their guys. But clearly, this isn't like a manager choice. And Lukaku and Werner are both injured. The last thing you want to do with the players that valuable to your team is rush them back too early. So
Right.
again, I thought maybe the mindset of Tuchel would be like, we just had Champions League match midweek. We played a lot of our starters there. We have Burnley on the weekend. Let's get that win, move on. International breaks coming up. Save our players, let them rest up, come back strong in like 2 weeks. And maybe they kind of overlooked Burnley this match.
Yeah.
Like this is like a classic trap game, like home game before international break. You're going against Burnley. Let's just walk into this one, do our shit, and get out.
Yeah.
And I mean, they put up a stinker of like, not even a performance, but a stinker of just taking care of business.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, they created all the chances you could ever ask for in a game.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of putting it away, but yeah, it's tough to criticize like a lot of the players, but I feel, and we talk about this all the time, just being at that professional level, and we talked about it a few times on this podcast, where you can do everything right as a manager. At the end of the day, if you're just not finishing off chances, that ultimately comes down to the players. And I think that's the difference between a player like Lukaku versus who they had on. He's just the player that puts it away, and at the end of the day, that's why he's on the team. Is why he's as good as he is these are the types of games you have to win if you want to win the title at the end of the season. Because the good teams like Man City and Liverpool are, I mean, we're going to go back to Liverpool in a second, but, typically these are the games when the team that wins the EPL just kind of takes care of business, and Chelsea, unfortunately, did not close this one out.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like a very gettable game for them.
Yeah.
And looking at the schedule, you're seeing City United playing each other. Big game. Up until the last couple of seasons, you would see Liverpool and West Ham and be like, oh, that's just kind of like a flyby game. Like Liverpool will probably win that one. But the last couple of years now, West Ham's made a resurgence under David Moyes, and it's like, okay, that's another big game. So now you have your two biggest rivals at the top playing arguably their two biggest games, not to date, but two biggest games like recently, with like the biggest implications on the top five, and you're playing Burnley.
You're playing
So get
18th
your
place,
win.
bottom in the relegation zone.
Get your win. Like these
Have
are the
to
games
win.
you have to win, right?
And that's what I told you. I think that's the one crutch of Chelsea Liverpool is, I said this to you, like both of them are two, maybe three injuries away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're done. Like no chance of winning the title. It happened with Liverpool last year. It's like Van Dijk and Matip both got injured.
Fabinho.
And they had no chance.
Yeah, Fabinho
Absolutely
there
no
too.
chance of winning the title. Chelsea, if Werner and Lukaku, if they're without a striker, number 9. Well,
Yeah.
but Werner really caught.
Yeah.
Like, he gets like they pair well together. But if same thing with them, if they get if Reece James gets injured and like Lukaku gets injured for a long time, like literally that could throw off their whole season.
Yeah.
With City, if they get 3 big, like if I remember one season De Bruyne was out for like 5 months, and Aguero was out, and I was like, I didn't even realize because they were just still winning games.
That was last season, yeah.
Yeah, when they went on their big win streak, they didn't have Aguero or De Bruyne during that whole thing.
Yeah, Aguero I think he had COVID over the fall and like the winter.
Yeah.
I think he got hit pretty bad with COVID, and then
Okay.
De Bruyne had like his injury spells last season.
I mean, they're
And
so
then it was like next guy up. Right?
yeah, and they're so. I think that's the one advantage City has, and it's credit to Pep for building this team of like, oh, I have 7 people that can slot into the starting lineup, no problem. But I've like managed all of their personalities so well that they're just okay with buying into the program. It's like if like literally with City, if 4 or 5 players got injured, you probably wouldn't notice because what Mahrez, Sterling, Grealish, all of them didn't play against Man U.
Yeah, speaking of that,
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, going to Grealish there. I mean, he would have probably been pretty upset that he wasn't in the Manchester derby, because making the move from Villa to City, that's probably the one game you're looking at that you're most excited about.
Oh yeah, you're circling that on the calendar.
Yeah.
Like as soon as you arrive at the City's grounds.
And he didn't get to start and play it at all. But yeah, I mean, Grealish, Sterling, Mahrez, all on the bench.
Yeah,
Didn't even notice.
And like in Joe's scenario, if players got hurt for Chelsea, let's say, obviously they do have replacements, but I mean, like a recognizable name on paper, like, oh, that guy's been around for a long time. Like you said, Reece James, if he gets hurt, well, they have Marcus Alonso to put there. But Marcus Alonso and Reece James aren't the same player.
yeah.
Or they'll have like Ben Chilwell if they want to switch the sides, or Azpilicueta. These are guys that have been there now. Well, James is kind of newcomer, same with Chilwell, but for the most part, these guys have been names that we've heard for a season or two, but they're just different caliber players, I guess, right? But then you look at a City, and it's almost like a balanced squad across.
Yeah.
From your I'm not gonna say goalkeeper, but from your defenders to your forwards, it's pretty much like an interchangeable lineup. Whereas Chelsea is very 13 player heavy, like rotation heavy. I want to say like their back line doesn't really change.
Yeah.
Like it might switch in and out for cup ties. Like Azpilicueta might get a game or two. Marcus Alonso, like he started the season off pretty well, but then he's kind of taken a back seat now because Reece James has just emerged as like one of the best
back in the league,
one of the best backs in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then their midfield has just been an ever changing wheel, basically, of Kovacic, Jorginho, Conte, Mount's been there, Havertz, Barkley made an appearance today. Loftus-Cheek's made some appearances in the last couple of weeks, but they're just not the same caliber of players, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not you wouldn't look at the lineup and be like, oh, I'm really glad Loftus-Cheek's playing and not Mason Mount today.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
But clearly not.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're names that you pick up. So it's like you kind of look at it and say, okay, we should still do well, we should still win. But then when you actually watch the games unfold, you see the disconnect.
Right.
yeah.
And Chelsea and Liverpool are kind of similar in that sense. I think City is like a one-off where they can just kind of throw anybody in, like we've seen it before. Like you said, Mars and Sterling and Grealish didn't play today.
Yeah. I mean, they could have easily played with Sterling and Mahrez up front instead of Bernardo Silva and Foden, and Foden Silva could have easily played in the middle.
Yeah,
instead of
it's
De Bruyne
wild,
and Gundogan, and Fernandinho could have easily played, and maybe not this game in particular because Rodri. We talk about it was like a 4-1-5, and Rodri just bossed midfield against 4 other Man U players. I just realized this though. I thought about this, like Man City didn't even make a sub that whole game against Man U.
Yeah.
And I think
they didn't have to. It's a training session.
They didn't have to, but I think because Pep saw the flaw in how they lined up, it's like, okay, I have the players on the field to just play this way and do the high press, and like we'll win this game, and like it'll be super simple. And he just didn't change it. It's like,
Like watch
went on and walked the game,
right?
you know.
Yeah, credit to them. And I still remember the one game I was watching City play. I forget who they were playing, but they just showed they had their starting lineup for City, and then they showed their alternate 11 of all the players that weren't playing for City. You know, that team could have went on the field and just handled Man U, right?
And that's in Man City for years now. Remember they used to do that when like Adebayor got signed?
Yeah, we were
like
talking
10
about
years
that.
ago.
Yeah,
And it's like they show their bench, and it's like their bench is worth 400 million, and they play against a team like, I don't even know who it was, Sunderland or something, and their whole roster was like 80 million or something.
Yeah,
and
not
City's
even
bench
close.
is just like trumping it.
Yeah.
After the game, actually, Phil Foden came out and he did it on Twitter, and I think he did it in an interview. He said that this was a game of our lives. He said that we just played the game of our lives today. That's for you, City fans.
Yeah.
So, like, he's super passionate, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
He's been Man City Youth Academy. And this kind of goes into hand-to-hand with talking about managers and, like, the culture of the team. Like, he's been raised as a Man City youth.
Yeah.
To, you know, not hate United, but, you know, like, you step up for the big United games. And to have a response like that, it's not, like, again, it's not like they smashed them 6-0. It's not like they embarrassed them and they made a huge statement on the scoreline. They just literally went out there, were so calm, and just
Controlled everything.
controlled every part of the
aspect
game. Yeah, and like Santos said, with United maybe going into the game to do damage control and like already being down before the game even starts, like that's just such a confidence boost for City.
Yeah.
Like obviously that's terrible for United, but
Right.
for City's standpoint, it's like, guys, we already have this in the bag before we even start.
They had eight defensive players on the field for United. Like,
Yeah,
can
exactly.
you imagine your City looking at that? Be like, all right, they're
So
clearly
we're not going to be
threatened.
threatened. We're going to possess the ball. We're going to be able to do whatever we want. We know we're better than this team. We know that everybody on our team can match up equally, or if that better, than every player on their team. Let's just go out there and have some fun.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what they did.
Yeah.
And I mean, it really showed. Again, like the scoreline doesn't dictate it. We can say that forever.
Mm-hmm.
If this was 5-0, it'd be more incentive, I guess, to get Ole out.
Yeah.
Because the headlines would read, 5-0 thrashing, but it was more just like a 2-0, like picking apart, basically, and like, I don't know.
Running a clinic.
Right? Yeah, basically running a clinic, running a training session against, a world-class team.
Yeah.
I wish Chelsea did that.
Yeah.
Clearly.
So, they're still 3 points ahead of City in the standings. Their goal differential is really looking good compared to everyone else except Liverpool, but plus 23 next to City at plus 16. But it's still pretty tight. We'll see what happens, especially as we get into Christmas and we get into all those games, right? See which top teams can manage that the best.
Well, I think my biggest worry from the result, obviously, and I'm talking like they lost the game. They didn't lose the game.
Oh, they lost the game.
Well, I mean,
It felt like they lost the
it
game.
felt like a loss. It literally did feel like a loss. It was a 1-1 draw, and they let in the goal at the end. Poor defending, but
Yeah, it came out of nowhere, but credit to Burnley.
when the result got posted and I saw it, I was watching the game, but when I, digested what just happened, I was like, okay, yeah, this sucks. Obviously, we could have pulled ahead of City by a little bit more, but I was worried about the Liverpool game today.
Yeah.
And I knew it was going to be a big one. Liverpool, West Ham, like I said, the history of these two teams, there's basically nothing from a competitive standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But now in the standings, it was,
Juicy.
a 3 versus 4 match that got reversed by the end of the day.
Yeah.
Liverpool came in the third place. West Ham, we've, haven't talked a lot about them, but, we've kept our eye on them and made some notes about them. Mikel Antonio playing really, really well this season. David Moyes bringing in some players like Kurt Zuma that can shore the defense up a little bit. And a player like Fabianski in net that's been playing unreal, I think, for the last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
They don't jump out at you as a threatening team, but they're one of those teams that have embraced what David Moyes brings to the side.
Yeah.
And having this game at home at London Stadium is obviously a huge one too, because like those fans are going nuts.
Oh yeah.
Packed house.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was looking forward to this game saying like Liverpool's probably going to win and like we're going to be like 1 point up.
Yeah.
So I'm like, damn, like this is going to suck. Like I'm nervous for this one. But
we had a treat.
to West Ham's credit, man, they showed up. Another game that had an early own goal.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was.
I wouldn't even call that an own goal.
I know
he curled it in.
hardly.
He curled it in from the corner. Like, that's basically what it looked like.
Yeah, like basically Allison just misjudged it. He had a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, he whiffed at it.
Right, and ball just went in off the corner.
Unlucky start, obviously, but early goals, man, they dictate the games. Like they make it so much more fun.
Yeah.
In a balanced game.
Yeah,
Like
it's definitely way more exciting. You don't get any of those 0-0 halftime games where literally nothing happens. So it was good, but I just want to say, it was good with West Ham, getting the early goal, and then Alexander-Arnold.
beauty, man.
What a free kick!
Beauty. I loved, like I put in the notes here, like just that little play to just change the angle of the shot between him and Mo Salah. I mean, we see that done all the time, but I never see them actually score. Like I never see a goal come from
works,
it.
right?
It's like why even try and do that?
Yeah,
but just to slightly shift it, I don't know, 2 or 3 feet.
Yeah,
outside to the right, just changes the angle for attack, which is like really smart when you think about it.
Yeah,
like clearly it's gonna work. Like,
clearly it's gonna work.
But it's gonna give you a better shot.
I was just surprised because he did that, and
no one went for the ball.
no one,
Very
no
strange.
one from the wall. No one. They didn't break up the wall, which maybe I'll get. But first off, you had to have known he was going to do that. Like he had no run up. He was standing on the ball and he toe poked it to Salah and then he went and shot it. Like you had to have known he was going to do that. I don't know how it never works because you always have people rushing to the ball when they do that.
Yeah.
And no one
did.
rushing
You
to
need
the
your
ball.
designated guy to go run.
It's usually always one guy.
It's like, okay, you're gonna run up one.
Like I remember, like on the game, like on FIFA, like you get the one guy ready. He's already in like a runner
Yeah, he's
stance,
already ready.
like right before the ball gets kicked.
Yeah.
I think they had the one guy lay down behind the wall too. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, they
Like
did.
that new move.
The whole lay down behind the wall.
Is that a
thing.
waste?
No, but it's just weird.
It happens. Like you want your
Yeah.
you want your wall to jump. Your wall has to jump.
I
especially
haven't
in
seen
pros.
that happen in like until the last couple of years, basically.
Yeah. So
And
yeah,
and it's super rare that shot even gets through. Like as it is.
yeah, under the wall, like
Like
it's
to
very tough.
sacrifice a guy from the wall or like another defender in the box, just have a guy lay down, take a nap during the
Yeah.
free kick.
I think with how good players are getting at free kicks, you need your wall to jump. Having your wall jump, especially with those players being good at free kicks, I think it's also likely that they could put one under the wall. I think it's one of those things you kind of have to. You'd probably regret not doing it more than doing it.
Mhm.
Oh, it's just that one time we would have done it.
Yeah.
Right.
And of course they score, right? Yeah, so to go into halftime 1-1, I mean, it's a 1-1 scoreline, it's a draw, but it was exciting. At least. It was entertaining, back and forth. Sometimes, when we get like two sides, I wouldn't say Liverpool, West Ham are evenly matched in, like on paper, but the energy level of West Ham, I think really matches how Liverpool plays. Because like Liverpool just likes to go quick, right?
Yeah.
Like their build, like it couldn't be more opposite than what City does.
Yeah.
Like City's like tiki-taka, like pass the ball back and forth 600 times, and then like trying to do a cross on net.
Yeah.
Liverpool just, I wouldn't say they run and gun, but they just attack in droves.
Yeah.
And West Ham did a lot of intercepting plays, did a lot of counterattacking plays. One of them leading to the goal by Paulo Fornals. Great run by Bowen.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Just 5 Liverpool.
and
guys
that's what I
around him.
think. I thought Van Dijk was pissed about it. Someone has to stick at some point. Just go in and stick that tackle. He just ran by who was it? Fabinho and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Just ran by. Like you have to stick.
Yeah.
That's what you need. And I think maybe that's something they missed. I'm not sure why Keita wasn't playing, but that's something.
He got hurt last week, remember?
Oh.
He got hurt last week and got
Right.
replaced by
Oh, yeah.
Oxlade-Chamberlain
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's come off
in
stuff.
the, what game was that? It was the Palace game.
Yeah.
And they lost 2-0.
Yeah. like I said, that's a big issue. Like even Keita gets injured, you're already noticing the hole in your midfield.
Yeah, because like for that, it's not like a like for like replacement.
Yeah.
Between Keita and Oxlade-Chamberlain.
Yeah, and that you just said that, I think that's what makes City so dangerous. They have like for like replacements literally in every single position.
Yeah, they do.
So good call on that one.
Yeah, like, for the amount of times I chirp Bowen and say how like he just can't finish and he just can't. He's not very good at attacking. He does this. And it's like just punches me in the face, puts me in my spot.
Yeah.
I don't criticize him because I don't expect this guy to be like a 20 goal scorer. But it's just funny when I watch him play and I watch highlights and everything. It's like he could be a 20 goal scorer because he gets himself in those positions.
Yeah.
But he just can't finish. Poor bastard.
Yeah.
But he's a gritty. He's a player that would fit in a big club.
Yeah.
Like a club like United.
Yeah.
Like just run, just play tough. A guy like Kieran Phillips from Leeds.
Yeah.
Like he's just like a strong midfield player that just has a motor on him, doesn't stop, keeps running, and it can like lock up and link up between the forwards and the defenders. United don't have those players. They don't have a player like that.
I actually saw a funny tweet. Someone was saying it's like if David Moyes didn't already manage Manchester United, there'd be talks of David Moyes.
I saw that one too.
Which is so true. But like it goes back to what we said at the like. Sure, it might be a step up from Ole, but they need to bring in like
he can't go back.
He can't go back.
Can he?
It wouldn't be it would be the same thing with Nuno. It wouldn't be a smart appointment because he's not going to win you the EPL.
Right.
You know what I mean? They need someone like I don't know, like who's coaching Real Madrid now?
Ancelotti.
They need like an Ancelotti to come in to Man U, or they need someone like that who's won trophies somewhere else. I mean, if they want to get back in the top four, Moyes might be the guy. But
then for him to leave West Ham,
I hope he doesn't.
Yeah, that's a tough look.
I mean, I think he's gonna look back. He's like, oh man, I shouldn't have left Everton because went to Man U, didn't work out. Spent some time in Spain. Probably, I don't know if he liked it or not. Now he's back in the EPL.
I think he hated it.
Huh?
I think he hated it.
Probably not ideal for him. He's probably. I could see him being the new guy at West Ham, especially if he makes Champions League.
Yeah, I mean, if he can solidify their spot, I mean, like just what he's been able to do in a couple of seasons there has been groundbreaking for them. And it's finding players kind of out of nowhere too, right? Like obviously, I don't know the history of West Ham, like their youth academy, and like who they've had coming up through the ranks, but like Mikel Antonio has been there for a while now, but he's like really emerged in the last couple of seasons. Declan Rice has been arguably like one of the best midfielders this year.
Yeah.
He played almost every game for England in the Euros, and I think he's the captain there now too. So like he's just like solidified his spot as, like a real professional, and they have pieces around them that just work hard and fit in the system. And that's what it comes down to too. It's work ethic.
Yeah. Like
how many times do you see United players get pissed at each other or like down on themselves, and like you have to want to be there. You have to want to put the work in.
Right.
Yes, a lot of these players are really good based on skill, based on just like merit. Ronaldo based on his name and like who he is. Obviously skills is there too. But a lot of these guys, it's like, okay, I'm already on United. I know this isn't probably the way that they think, but this is like my perception of it. It's like I'm already here. Like why? Like I don't have to like work as hard to get to that level.
Yeah,
I'm already here now.
Yeah.
That's why I love watching college basketball sometimes, like in the March Madness tournaments.
Yeah,
because these kids are striving to become NBA players.
Yeah,
there's something like a stat, like only 1% of like all NCAA athletes become professional.
It's crazy,
which is like nuts because there's like 100 and something schools with like all these programs like that do have professional levels at the end of the day, but only 1% emerge from that.
Yeah,
it's wild. So these kids have this dream of like trying to become the best they can be. They're playing hard every game. The fans are crazy for these teams because they're so passionate about like their alumni and all these players. And then it's like you're just trying to get to that next level. And then the players that you see now in like the NBA or NFL or even like players in United, they get complacent.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm already here. Why do I have to keep trying so hard?
Yeah. And I think the motivation has come from the manager.
You always want to strive to be better, right?
Yeah.
Like strive for more. Like, it's frustrating. Because like, again, like I'm not a United fan, but I do like to see them playing well. Like I remember we said in the podcast, like episode 3 or something, when the Arsenal's playing so shit. I was like, the EPL is better when Arsenal's good.
Yeah.
The EPL is better when United's good.
Yeah.
It's just more entertaining. It's more passionate. It brings more popularity to the sport. So when these teams are sliding and they're playing poorly, it's like, come on,
And you have your
guys.
fans like just hating every minute of
Yeah.
watching your team play. Like it's not bad. Like the fans were just chanting like how shit they are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, during
Yeah.
the City game.
They're like, what? What?
It's basically just saying we're shit.
Yeah.
Which is terrible when you're Manchester United. You're Manchester
You're like the
United.
biggest team.
Yeah.
Like one of the most
Seriously.
popular teams.
Yeah.
But I mean, these fans
And-
have been there forever, right? They expect greatness.
Yeah.
And I think the dynasty that they have with Sir Alex Ferguson is like, it's obviously, it was amazing. It was an amazing run. But when you expect that year in, year out,
Setting up for failure.
it sets up for failure. And then, I mean, they've been failing.
Yeah, they've
Like
failed.
how many do they like? What, 1 or 2 titles since he's left?
I think they won in.
Mourinho won something.
He didn't
think he
win.
won
He
the
didn't
FA
win a
Cup.
title.
I think they won the FA
they have-
Cup.
yeah, he
I
won the
think
FA Cup.
Van Gaal might have won one.
Won what?
A title?
No, nothing.
They had to have one. They have to won something since
They've
Sir Alex
won
Ferguson
an FA
left.
Cup with Mourinho, and they won the Europa.
Yeah, they won the Europa with Mourinho.
Yeah,
Jose. Not
yeah.
bad.
So that's it. I mean,
I could have sworn they won one Premier League title with
No.
Since the departure of Ferguson.
no,
No, definitely not the Premier League.
definitely not the Premier
Oh,
League.
okay.
Yeah, but yeah. So and with that, Arsenal, given all the trashing we've done to them, they jumped above Man U. So now, we were kind of tripping Arsenal at the start of the season, and now they've jumped ahead of Man U. With Man U taking that loss. So
Yeah, good on Arteta. There's been a lot
Yeah.
of pressure on him.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully with Arsenal, because you can see with the players they brought in, like I still do think they need someone gritty in the midfield, someone with experience to complement the young guys on their squad. But good on Arteta. Like we'll see. I think we'll see the manifestation of this project at Arsenal in the next 2 to 3 years, maybe. Hopefully everyone's bought in and that they stick with Arteta. I do think, we'll see, I guess, how much he's learned from Pep. I think getting into Champions League would be a huge win for them. And we'll just see how we do. I guess only time will tell, towards the end of the season, if Arteta and this thing he's building is the real deal. So, I think this season and maybe next season, the season after that, we'll see if Arsenal turns into a team that can really contend for the top 4, maybe the title.
Yeah, and I mean that's another team where it's like you have to have the backing of obviously, like management and ownership as well as the fan base.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's not like Arsenal have been winning a bunch of stuff, and obviously like kind of like same with United and Sir Alex Ferguson, they get motivated to win titles because that's what they're used to getting is titles.
yeah,
And I mean, when Wenger was like, on his decline and they were only getting 5th place, 4th place, 4th place, 5th place,
yeah,
and not winning any titles in anything. They weren't winning any, domestic cups and all that. And like, they beat Chelsea actually last year in the FA.
yep,
So that's a good win for them. But to get the results in the Premier League is like one thing. And like, that's basically on the minds of every fan base.
yeah,
Like we want to win the title. We want to win
Right.
the Premier League. We want to win, become champions of the league. And you can't, I mean, the oldest cliche in the world, I think, is you can't build Rome in a day. Rome doesn't get built in a
Right.
day.
yeah,
You have to put in the time. You have to wait and be patient.
yeah,
And I think it's easier said than done for like lower placed teams.
yeah,
Like, I mean, Newcastle's one thing, I guess, because like they're just got bought
yeah,
by billionaire Saudis.
yep,
But I'm saying a team like Southampton, a team like Brentford, Leeds, Villa, Crystal Palace, these guys like have always kind of been mid-table, mid-tier,
yeah,
and they don't expect to win the title.
yeah,
They expect positive results. They expect to be there. They expect to not be embarrassed.
mm-hmm.
But a team like Arsenal, they want results. They want them now, or they're going to see changes. And I really hope Arteta has like gone to the brass at Arsenal and said like, hey, this is my plan. I'm not just here to wing it. I actually have a strategy. I actually have like a plan in place. Like, it's going to take 2-3 seasons, but like just trust me kind of thing.
yeah,
Like, I'm building up these kids. We have a great youth academy, which we actually know Arsenal does have.
Yeah.
But I'm building up these players. I'm hopefully going to be better. They're going to be world class a couple years. Like, just wait and see.
Yeah.
If you can actually pitch that to ownership and they get behind you and they actually support you, that's huge.
Yeah.
And I feel like Arteta has been maybe saying that for a couple of seasons, and it hasn't really like paid dividends. But now we're starting to see it with them a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you look at their lineup, and it is a good mix of like youth and skill players, like older skill players. But we've been beating it we've been beating it into our podcast like since we started. They just need to find 2 or 3 other players that can just really, close the gap in their play.
Yeah.
And like just become like, world class Arsenal players for now and for the future.
Right. Yeah, because they're sitting 5th. They went on a really solid run since they were bottom of the table towards the start of the season.
It's been crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy run.
So who knows? Like, could have Champions League in hand, seeing as if Liverpool or West Ham, drop any points going forward, because I don't really honestly see Chelsea or City getting out of the top 4, but Liverpool's on the cusp now, and Arsenal's just one away. From catching them. I mean, I do think City, Chelsea, Liverpool will still be in the top 4. Looking at the bottom, Arsenal and Man U are way too inconsistent. And it really hinges on West Ham, how well they do. I think the next top 4 spot, West Ham, Arsenal, Man U. I'm thinking I think West Ham.
You like West Ham?
West Ham's been more like a together team though.
Yeah.
More often than not. Like more often than Arsenal United. Like you said, consistency is huge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like West Ham's not putting together like strings of 10 wins in a row, but they're not going to drop 4.
Yeah.
They're not going to, they're not going to lose. They're not going to escape with like 2 points out of a possible 8 or something.
Yeah.
Where we've seen Arsenal and United do that both times this season.
Man U,
yeah, exactly.
3 losses, 1 win, 1 draw, last 5 games. And with West Ham, they have David Moyes, who's been there before. Like, he's gotten Everton into Champions League. He knows what it takes. So he's, they keep saying it, like, when you win the league once, like, you know how to win. Like, you just know how to win. So I think David Moyes knows how to, keep a top 4 spot. So, he'll drill it into the West Ham field. It's like, no, like, we have to win against Burnley. Like, we have to.
Yeah.
Most teams should win against Burnley.
Yeah. Everyone should win against Burnley right now. But yeah, just looking at it, you get the massive game with Liverpool, Arsenal coming up. They're playing each other next.
It's like we scripted it.
Yeah. Who knew?
It is after international break.
It is after international
so
break.
we'll have the 2 weeks off.
So
play resumes next Saturday. Sorry, not next Saturday. Saturday, November 20th.
Right.
It's the next slate of games.
So
if Arsenal beats Liverpool, that would be a massive.
That would be huge.
That would just turn things. Just forget everything I just said. That would really turn everything on its head.
I mean,
yeah.
Obviously, like Chelsea being in first is crazy. Like I love that. But I think my story this season is Arsenal like coming back from death.
Back from like
I'm not even
bottom.
kidding. Like I feel like I'm a dumbass for like how we spoke in the first like 4 episodes of the show here, because like we were just burying Arsenal.
Well, I mean, when you go like three losses at the start.
They're brutes.
Yeah, they didn't even score a goal first month of the season.
Yeah, they did the whole month. Yeah, they're doing goals in the whole
no
month.
goal of the month.
To where they're at now. I mean, like kudos to Arteta. Like Chelsea's biggest rival is Arsenal, or one of them.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I'm not a huge Arsenal hater. Like the past Arsenal with Henry and like Vieira, I love watching them play.
Yeah.
So I'm not pissed to see them up this high. I'm very surprised, again, like based on like how they started the season. But it wouldn't surprise me if they win the 5th place trophy again for like another
bajillionth season.
Well, I mean,
in
that
10
would be
years,
considering how they've done.
It would be an accomplishment.
It would be an accomplishment if they're like at the end of the season fighting for top 4. They're like, okay, like even if we're just in there, like that's huge.
Yeah,
and I mean, they could take it as a big positive because being in the situation they were in, where they're at bottom of the table, and then they worked back and got here. It's kind of like, no matter what season you go into, no matter how bad your start is, you know that you've done it before, you can do it again, and you can get back and compete for top 4.
Mm-hmm.
So.
They like just like for last season's looking at last season, they won their last 5 games and still finished 8th place.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Like going on a run like that. So like finishing in 8th place last season was obviously way down. They could have been way worse off if they didn't rattle off those wins last year. So it's obviously a down season, and I didn't expect them to make. I mean, it's hard to say even like a comeback because like they were so down at the beginning of this year too. But
Yeah.
I did not expect them to see them in this top 5, maybe top 6, even if they didn't have their poor start to the season like they did.
Yeah.
I thought they'd maybe be more consistent, like 3 wins, 5 draws, and like 3 ties or something. Or sorry, and 3 losses like at the start of, like at this point of the season or something. I thought they have more draws and wins because that's how like Arsenal plays a lot. But to have 6-2-3 record at this point in the season and having like 2 in those 3 losses in the first, those 2 draws and 3 losses in like the first 6 games of the season, is actually crazy.
Yeah.
So what a run of form that they've had,
Oh yeah.
and like no one's even like really standing out except for that Emile Smith-Rowe kid.
Yeah.
Like he's been playing lights out for them.
Tearing it up for them right now. Yeah, and it's good to see. I mean, especially all the young talent they have. If they can get and just keep them, don't sell off your big stars coming up. I think that'll be good for them long term. So hopefully they stay and they can get back to the Arsenal glory days somehow.
Yeah.
Because they need to win a trophy for their fans.
Yeah, they really do. I mean, like, winning FA Cup is not like what it used to be.
Yeah.
Like that used to be like the big one too. Like before the Premier League kicked off in the 90s, winning the FA Cup in like the 70s and 80s and like 60s, even way back then, was like winning Champions League. Because I think back then, like the teams were more even, I guess.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like you had a top 5 in the Premier League and then they were giants. And it's obviously between all English divisions. So you got a tournament of 100 teams, and yours comes out on top. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
And a lot of times back then, I think it was like a Division 2 side.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't always United or Newcastle or Liverpool in the 80s, like rattling off FA Cup wins.
Yeah.
There was a lot more passion behind it. Now it's kind of died off, and now you have the Carabao Cup, and you have the EFL Cup, and you have the Cuppity Cup.
Yeah, you have so many, right?
Is the EFL and the Carabao Cup the same?
I don't know. I call it 2 different things because it's not. I don't even know if it's called if it's titled that is
one. Yeah.
Carabao Cup anymore. I don't know. Carabao used to be Chelsea sponsor, so it's always in my head. Carabao.
Yeah.
But they have all these other like cups that are now taking away from what the FA Cup used to be.
Right.
Yeah, it's still hardware for your team, but it's not the big one.
No, I mean, really, teams only care about winning the Premier League.
Carabao?
What?
Carabao
and the EFL are the same.
Funny. Really funny.
Teams only care
All
about.
teams really care about.
The Carabao.
No, like winning Premier League. But even if you're City, I mean, yeah, like you said, like they do want to win Premier League, but they really want to win Champions League.
Champs, yeah.
Like that's their standard. I'm sure if you ask City if they would rather win Champions League or Premier League, they'd for sure say
They'll say the Premier League, but Pep's
They'll
like,
mean-
Pep's
they'll
like
mean
I
Champions,
have
yeah.
to win.
Depends who's
Champions
asking them.
League. I have to win Champions League.
If it's like a pundit from England, he'll say the Premier League. If it's a guy from like Spain, he's like, I must win Champions League.
Yeah, must win. But yeah, so it's really shaping up, and just even looking at this top 10, how competitive this is right now.
I know. It's a hodgepodge of teams, too.
Yeah.
Like those bottom, like 6 to 10.
Look at
There's
that.
some funny names down there.
Yeah, you got Brighton, Wolves.
Wolves making a
sneaky
resurgence.
comeback.
Yeah.
You think Nuno's going to go back? Well, probably not actually.
Yeah, now.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I'm back because it didn't work out. It's like,
We're actually doing okay right now.
Yeah.
Like, take a walk.
We're doing fine.
If you built that team, but take a walk.
Yeah. I mean, I really love how competitive it is with all these top sides because I didn't really, say I didn't like it, but it was what it was when you had Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man U before like City got big. You just had your top 4 that were going to make Champions League. It was so divided.
Like 7 years in a row, just like those teams.
So divided.
Everton got fit.
Everton, Fulham was always up there before they had their super big downturn as a club.
Mm-hmm.
But the table was always structured the same way.
Yeah.
And, it's way more entertaining now with how competitive it is. You don't know who's going to make top 4. I mean, you have a good idea of who your top teams are going to be, but there's always a battle. which I really like. And, I really want to hopefully get away from you just have they even say it in commentary about like your big six, which is fine. I mean, a lot of it has to do with money, but it would be nice to see where you just got, a team like West Ham or Wolves, where you just got a team that maybe doesn't have a lot of money, but consistently compete for top spots.
Yeah. I think West Ham can be that team. If they stick with Moyes and like they consistently bring in who he needs to do well, like they could be another Everton, and being another Everton in this era, it's like you have a good chance at top four.
Yeah, get some European places in under your name.
Mm-hmm.
Even crack a Champions League spot would be crazy. For all the teams that we're talking about right now that are doing well, there's obviously the other side of the table. Yeah, it's that low, bottomless pit down there.
Surprised to see, Brentford's made a fall 4 losses in a row.
Yeah.
Tough. Real tough.
Some teams making some dramatic news. Norwich, I mean, probably saw this one coming. Firing Daniel Farke.
Yeah.
I thought it was just funny the way that they did it. It was like right after their first win of the season.
Yeah.
Like they beat Brentford and then they let go of their manager. I don't know. I kind of had a theory that maybe they told the team before the game started that they were going to relieve the manager of his duties, and that kind of like boosted their motivation for the game. Like, I don't think it was like going to save their season kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like maybe he came and pulled them aside and said, "This is my last game. I've already talked to ownership. Like it's obviously not going the right direction. We're 0-2-8.
Yeah.
Clearly this isn't what I pictured happening with the team." And then maybe they like play a little extra hard for him or something, or I don't know.
Who knows, right?
I got a soft spot like that. Like I think it's like sappy, but
yeah,
be a nice little.
I mean, it's tough. You kind of have to. Similarly with Newcastle. I mean, they had to. Still not happy about the way it happened, but good on them. They got Eddie Howe.
Hopefully, maybe. I don't think it's official yet.
Oh no.
I think he was in the building at the game too. I think it's almost kind of sealed deal.
Basically official.
I think it's not signed, sealed, delivered yet. I don't think. But it's heavy speculation. Eddie Howe will be the new Newcastle manager. Probably announced. I mean, the upcoming days, I would think.
Yeah.
With international break kicking off.
But that was you who called that, right?
I did. I didn't call it. I suggested. I said him to either Newcastle or United.
Yeah.
Newcastle was the first suggestion I thought. Just because I've seen him obviously with Bournemouth and how he can take a smaller, I mean not a small team now with Newcastle, but a team that's like underperforming or underwhelming and kind of build them up to to become Premier League namestays for a couple of seasons.
Right.
Obviously like the decline of Bournemouth sucked and it was unfortunate, but Eddie Howe he had a lot more success than defeats. Than unsuccessful stints with Bournemouth.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if he gets a Newcastle gig, he gets back in the Premier League, one thing, and two, he'll have a budget come January if he gets appointed soon that could maybe make some impact for them.
Yeah.
I've been talking about it for a while now, like saying how I think Newcastle will have a tale of two seasons, pre and post January transfer. And I'm not saying they're going to make a huge splash and bring in like $100 million player, but I think they're going to move some talent around. And I mean, I'm not too familiar like with what Eddie Howe's style of play is, but he's going to have carte blanche basically to pick and choose this team.
Yeah.
Hopefully. And hopefully he has the backing from the new ownership to be able to do so. I hope they're not like looking over his shoulder at every waking moment, because that's no way to operate either.
No. Yeah, it'll be. I've always liked him as a manager. Was pretty happy to see him take Newcastle. I was sad to see Steve Brucey.
Yeah,
Eddie,
because I always liked him. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this Newcastle project turns out. I just really hope they stay up. Like, I'm not to say that I'm indifferent about who goes down, because I always feel bad when teams get relegated from the Champions League, because it's the worst thing ever for a club. But I really want to see how this Newcastle thing pans out. Because I think if they get relegated, it's
like disaster.
It's really going to be disaster.
He's actually, Eddie Howe's not the manager of Newcastle yet. And actually Aston Villa are looking to swoop him up.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Because they let go of Dean Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I mean,
big string of losses.
Yeah, you lose 5 games in a row at any point in the season, it's not going to look very well.
No.
With them though, it's like you look at their lineup too, and they actually have like decent players, but you lose Jack Grealish in the off season, and you clearly don't replace a player like him. You can't replace a $100 million player.
Yeah.
He was like the heart and soul of that team, basically. Obviously, like homeboy, youth academy again, captain of the team. I mean, that could demoralize the team a little bit and the fan base, I think. Yeah, they got some money for him, but they didn't really spend too big. And like I said, it's unfortunate. It is what it is, though. It's a tough gig to be a manager. I think it's probably one of the hardest jobs in the world at any level of sport to be a professional manager or coach, whatever. And I mean, you're heavily criticized for everything that you do. Like, you could be. It's literally like rainbows and unicorns, like one day, and then you make like one bad decision or one bad result, and like you're sacked in like 2 weeks.
You're under the microscope all the time. Very tough. So, but yeah, we'll see. I do hope Eddie Howe goes to Newcastle, though.
I do too.
I don't see why he would go to Villa, to be honest. Especially with all the exciting things going to Newcastle, and if he can take that job, like, I think it'd be a really cool. I mean, I'm just speaking for myself, but I feel like it'd be a really good move for him with all the changes going on. And
I mean, it just might be a lot. It's like, okay, you're Newcastle, like, now we have to stay up. We have to make up 5 points, which is kind of tough at the.
I don't think it's that tough.
I mean, you win like 2 games on the trot.
Like, I mean, like, they could beat anybody from 13th down.
Yeah.
When you think about it, like Southampton, Brentford, Leeds, Villa, who just sacked their manager, Watford, who's in shambles right now. They already let go of their manager this season. Burnley and Norwich. Like, you could pick up a couple wins against those teams. I think. Obviously, you're not expected to do much against the top 10, but those are winnable games if you just can squeak a couple out.
Yeah.
And I feel like, if anybody can do it, like Eddie Howe, who's like squeaked Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Bournemouth, I don't even know if they were in the championship division, like, for a long time. I think they were even like below that for a little while. And he brought him like out of like Division 2 or like League 2, whatever it is, into the championship, into the Premier League.
Yeah.
So if you can accomplish that in like 10 season stint, wherever it was with Bournemouth, I feel like he's up to the challenge for Newcastle job to help them stay out of relegation. It wouldn't surprise me if like Sam Allardyce took over Aston Villa or something to maybe help them stay up. I think he's already been there 4 times.
I think so.
In the same role. Yeah. Like, oh god,
Big Sam, we gotta get out.
We're bottom 5 again. Call Sam. They have like have on speed dial, like on their phone or something.
Can you come in for 6 months?
Is speed dial even a thing anymore? Is speed dial a thing?
Probably not. No, you just go to your contacts and call them.
That's basically a speed dial.
Well, that is, I guess
everyone's on speed dial.
You're on
Everyone
speed
is
dial.
on
I don't even know your number. I just go to Andrew.
Yeah, I don't know anybody's numbers.
No one knows anyone's number.
I know my wife's number. That's about it.
Yeah.
But I had to memorize it 8 years ago.
I have to ask what Joe's number is all the time. I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, I know your number.
I would hope you would know his number.
I know my home phone number, and I think that's it.
I know I think I can still get my home phone number from my old house like 20-something years ago.
Oh, yeah?
Like, I still might know it.
Yeah, I mean, you had to call home how many times when you were a kid?
Probably a lot. Well,
Yeah,
I was like 10.
Yeah.
Like, no, younger than 10. I was like 8 or 9 at my oldest in my old house.
Yeah.
I still know the address. I still know like my grandma's number from like 20 years ago. Like,
Yeah.
it's just crazy how numbers can stick in your head.
Well, I was thinking, do you think there's like messed up group chats like that we'd be just like shocked to see of like Premier League players? Like, I know because Rooney, Henderson, and Lallana are like best friends. It's like, is there just a group chat of like, why are these 7 players just like in a group chat? Like, why do they have business
It's
talk?
probably
Probably.
hilarious.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
probably hilarious.
Think especially if they're all from the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
No, think it's a city basically the size of, or it's a area. I mean, United Kingdom's multiple countries, basically the size of Southwestern Ontario, and you got all these players who are playing this league together.
With double the population of Canada, like a
Yeah,
60-something
true.
million or 70 million people.
Yeah, so obviously they're all like, I think just as close as we would be with players in our league, if not closer, because they're just pros and they just hang out with each other, right? So yeah, I mean, there's probably a group chat with Reece James and De Gea and Rodri. Like one of the three most random players.
What a collection! What a collection of people.
No, probably not them. I just
What a
each their own
collection of
country.
people.
And it was actually kind of sad to hear this. I was watching a thing on, taking a pivot here, Aguero. It was a video of him because I guess like his family's in South America.
Right.
He's like, yeah, sometimes like usually I just chill in my house, watch movies. Sometimes I'll go to dinner with De Gea and Otamendi.
Yeah, it's like what
They're
they do,
crazy.
right?
Yeah.
Especially when your family's in another country. That's why I think international players have it so tough because you're going to a foreign country, you don't know anyone. Like Aguero, you're obviously in this like really nice house, but at the end of the day, it's like who you spend time with. Like you just be alone in this country that you can't really speak the language. Whereas I feel like if the dream is if you're like Marcus Rashford, or Foden, you're homegrown in that area. Now you're playing for the professional club.
That's
you're
crazy.
with all your friends who are already there. It's totally different. It's obviously way more enjoyable because at the end of the day, it's all about relationship, right?
That's like Reece James, Mason Mount, and Pulisic have all been the youth academy guys at Chelsea.
Yeah,
Like since they were like kids. I think
Right.
Chilwell might have been there,
yeah,
and then he left. I'm not totally sure about that, but I know like him and Mason Mount are really close. Same with Declan Rice too and Mount.
yeah.
They're like best friends. It's just crazy. Like, yeah. I mean, could you imagine if like those group chats are like leaked out somehow?
Yeah.
Like some
We'd be shocked.
some crazy reporter like
all
digs deep and like leaks.
all the Premier
group
League
chats and all that
goalkeepers
shit.
have their own group chat. All 20 of them are in the same
Oh my
group.
god, could you imagine that one? Klopp and Pep just like bashing each other all day. And,
Yeah.
like Mourinho pipes in there and they're like, "What? Didn't I boot you out of the chat? Like, what are you doing here, Jose?"
Yeah, super interesting to
Arsene
see.
Wenger's trying to figure out what a phone is still.
Right,
Or
it's
Roy
different
Hodgson.
jacket.
Roy Hodgson's trying to figure out what a phone is.
Yeah. Who knows, man? I mean, be cool just to see it. What an inkling of that that's like. Because it's probably, still at the end of the day, they're people.
Yeah, I
I
was just
guess.
gonna say, yeah, they're just people. I mean, we obviously, I wouldn't say like look up to them anymore because I'm older than probably half the guys. in
We're
the
older
league.
than everyone. in the league.
basically everyone. Just scary shit.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But they're just people. Like they're fantastic. Fantasticized. Fans. What is it? Fantastic. Yeah, is that a word?
Fantasticized?
It's not fantasized.
I have no idea.
It's a word. Oh god, it's not fan. It's a word. I swear to God, it's a word. I don't think it's fantasticized.
I was like, what are you
Something
trying
like
to
that.
say? Yeah, that hit me really hard actually when I realized that I'm older than 95% of the people that play in the EPL.
Mm-hmm. When was even like
Fantasticized.
3 years
Oh.
ago? It's like, oh, Tottenham's average age is 22. I'm like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since fantasticized is a word, but on Wiktionary, which is like Wikipedia dictionary.
Someone just added it.
But fantasticized is popping up as a word that's been Google searched at
Yeah.
least.
Okay.
Whatever.
What you're trying to say?
What I'm trying to say is it's like we hype these people up and like we see
Yeah.
them on like on a different level
Yeah.
as to like just being like a regular people.
Yeah.
Like
They're
we
just-
tune into them every weekend on like national TV, on like streaming platforms, and they live thousands of miles away, and it's like they're just regular people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bless you.
Just
Thank you.
really good at what they do, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Fantasticized. Definitely.
Fantastic. That'll be that name of the episode.
I mean, I'm gonna use that
gonna
word. I'm
give
gonna
a
drop that word every podcast now.
Yeah, give a shout out to our YouTube SEO guy who's going to put Fantasticize in
the tagline?
title or in somewhere just because. It'd be amazing.
Episode 11's fantastical. No, it's fantastic. I gotta stop talking.
YouTube SEO wizard put Andrew's entire sentence in the description so we can just have that on record for the rest of our lives.
My mouth feels like rubber bubble gum right now.
Yeah.
I can't even talk.
Also add rubber bubblegum, please.
Is that a thing?
I just want him to add it to the description.
Well, I've been eating a lot of that double bubble because, Halloween last year or last week.
Yeah.
So I've been crushing double bubble, and I think that's like messed my jaw up.
Okay.
because it's like that's a hard.
It's a
bubble
hard
gum.
one.
It is, yeah.
It's like the yellow and the blue wrapper,
Yeah.
and I think I had some in my car, and I
so
chewed into
like-
that one.
Yeah, so it was like really tough.
It was like biting into a jawbreaker and then trying to chew leather for like,
Sounds fantastic.
and then like it's gone in 5 minutes. Like it tastes
Yeah.
good. It tastes delicious.
yeah,
But
Yeah,
that
those ones
specific
taste
gum is gone in 5 minutes.
yeah,
Everything, texture, taste,
yeah. It's like
smell.
just like chew it for like 12 times, then you just spit it out because it's done.
Oh, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
But I still do it.
Well, I'm glad you enjoy it.
Remember like the myth of like being younger and you say that bubble gum. I know it's a myth, but if you swallow bubble gum, it's gonna be like stuck in your body for like
Forever.
6 years or
That's
something.
like
or
not,
8
I don't
years.
think that's true.
That's
like
a
at
myth.
all.
Is that not true?
I think you get acid in your stomach so strong. Like
Yeah,
obviously
that
not
would.
true.
I've eaten
There's
some
people
stuff.
that like eat like metal and stuff.
Okay, yeah, that's one.
Like that if your stomach can decompose that,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure a double bubble gum.
Ooh, say that 5 times.
Say that 5
Double
times.
hubble bubble bubble.
That's gonna decompose pretty well. But yeah,
I hate those old wives' tales. Like, I stopped doing so many things when I was a kid because I was like, I can't do
thought
this.
they were true, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't like voluntarily swallowing bubble gum, but it scared the hell out of me.
I know. Every time I'd swallow, I'd be like, "Oh man, it's gonna be on my stomach." I'm like 10 years old. Oh,
Yeah.
it's gonna be on my stomach till I'm 15.
Yeah, I can. In 5 years, I won't be able to poop, and this is gonna be why.
Yeah. See, there's a low key anxiety you get developed by just these old wives' tale.
Like, you can't go swimming after 20
Eating.
minutes.
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
whatever.
you can't go straight. It's like
Yeah, you could go and stand in the shallow in your pool right after you have a meal. You could eat a meal in your pool if you're not doing laps.
Oh, that'd be
Michael
crazy
Phelps.
talking to my family. You can't eat a meal in your pool. You kidding me? It's blasphemy.
Yeah.
What else? Like if you cross your eyes, like get stuck like that.
Oh
Yeah.
Or if you like hold your face in a position, like when you put your
Yeah.
fingers in your mouth and
Yeah.
like hold up, it's gonna get stuck like that.
Well, I think that might be actually true. Not get stuck like that, but I think like if you do it enough, like you might stretch your face out a little bit or something.
yeah. I mean, it
Yeah.
could if you do it like every day for
Like hours every day.
hours every day for like
Yeah.
several months.
You should
It's
like
like
a
saying you're gonna get poisoning from water if you drink too much water, but the amount of water you have to drink is like inconceivable. You have to drink like those clean canteens I have. Those
Yeah.
you probably have to drink like 4 of those.
Probably more than that.
Probably more than that.
Four, like
Well, no, actually, yeah, I would drink if I do like something really strenuous. I
could you
drink
do like
a
two?
full one.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to drink like 6 of those. So yeah, it's probably not gonna happen.
yeah, that's a lot of water.
Probably more. I'm gonna check now.
Just before you guys got here, actually, when my wife was giving my son a bath,
Mm-hmm.
she thought like he got some water in his throat and he like spit up a little bit and like I guess he was like choking a little, and afterwards she's thought that he might like drown overnight because he has like water in his system. And I was like, I'm pretty sure you have to drink like
yeah,
a lot of water, and he just like literally got like
you like
like
water
a
went down the wrong
little
way.
drop in there. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
basically what it was, I think.
Yeah, your body can handle that.
Like with kids though, man, like you bring everything to like the next level of like worrisome
Oh yeah,
or worriness.
I do it all the time.
You don't even have kids.
One of my nephews.
Oh,
and
yeah,
my
that's true.
nieces.
Mm-hmm.
It changes your mindset though.
Oh yeah, careful about everything, right? Like
Like if I was choking on some water, I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, sorry, I choked on some water. I'm good now though.
yeah,
But like, your child does it and it's like,
it's like
call an ambulance.
Yeah, what are we
Like,
gonna do? Yeah, everything's next level, right? Because you're responsible for this life. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Congratulations. Make sure this thing doesn't die.
yeah.
Like basically.
For
biggest responsibility.
Oh my gosh.
he said 6 clean canteens. You have to drink 1 liter of water per hour for a day.
1 liter per hour.
So 24 liters.
A liter is not that much.
Well, yeah, but you have to drink a liter of water
I know.
all day.
I know.
So
Yeah.
like 28 liters. Because
That's a lot.
24
The kid-
liters.
the kidneys can flush 20 to 28 liters each day, but can only get rid of about 1 liter each hour.
That's like
And our clean contains what, 500 milliliters for a whole day?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you would have to drink that's 946 ounces. And our clean canteen is 64. So whatever 946.
Everyone on the Footy Fans podcast, just in
90
case you
90
want to know how
46.
much water you should not drink after playing footy, don't drink 20 liters of water.
Yeah, do not drink 28 liters of water.
Put up
So that-
calculator.net.
That is 14.78 of our clean canteens in a day. So that's, like drinking an entire clean canteen.
Wait, why'd you get that number?
Well, because we are getting way off topic here, eh? But we got to make sure that everyone's safe with their water drinking here. So 28 liters is 946 ounces. The clean canteen is 64 ounces.
Got it.
So 14.78 clean canteens per day. You're probably awake for just about that amount.
Yep. So you have to drink a clean canteen per hour.
Yeah. Never going to happen.
That doesn't sound that hard though to do.
Dude, have you seen my clean canteen? It's
Yeah, I
massive.
had
Drink
one
a-
too.
Imagine chugging
After
that and then,
the fourth one, you're like, I'm done. For sure.
You like full off water.
Yeah.
They used to do like radio show competitions like this, for like giveaways and stuff. Like, we're giving away, and I think this actually happened like years ago.
Yeah, no, like an old lady died. 'Cause she
Yeah.
drank way too much water.
It was like, I think she like wanted to win her son like an Xbox or something.
Yeah.
And it was like some radio show, and it's like, just drink water like
Yeah.
all day. I saw to take a big gulp of water in my face.
Yeah.
It's like drink just a ton of water all day, and like you can't go to the bathroom or
Worst
something. That's
idea.
like what it was. And she ended up like literally like this happened. Like she internally drowned
Yeah.
to like win her son an Xbox.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, because I think the your kidneys can't flush it out.
I think
Yeah.
like, I would try it, but then I would go pee.
Yeah, you have to go pee, right?
'Cause I love drinking water.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't go to that extent.
No, that's dangerous. So everyone drink your water, but
Not too
don't be
much.
silly.
Yeah, this is a water endorsement.
Yeah, here we go. Water sponsor us.
Sponsor us, water, please. big water, come at us.
Water.
All right, I think we're good.
I think we're good.
Mm-hmm.
So like we said, international breaks coming up. I think it's actual qualifying. I don't know if it's just friendlies. I'm not totally sure.
Probably a combination of both.
Yeah, it usually is. It's like random, like some random teams will actually be like international friendlies, and you'll have like North American qualifying or something, and then it'll be like Africa will be doing friendlies, and half of Europe's doing friendlies, whatever it is. So those will be taking place in the next 2 weeks. EPL is back the weekend of November the 20th. We already set up a couple of the games that are taking place, but I think the big ones are going to be Chelsea and Leicester taking place as the early game Saturday, and then Arsenal Liverpool is the late game on Saturday. Sunday, Man City Everton. It's always a good one to tune into. And then another showing of Antonio Conte and Tottenham will be against Leeds. It was actually another tough test. I mean, Leeds isn't not doing too hot. Like we kind of expect them based on their performance last year to be like mid-table, like mid-tier, around 10th, 11th. Being at 15th is kind of underachievement, I think,
Yeah.
based on the style that they play. But you never know. They get up for big games a lot of the time.
Yeah.
They don't play teams lightly. They play very hard. So, Antonio Conte have his boys up for that one. And then for all United fans out there, they're playing against Watford on Saturday as well. So tune into that if you want to see United try and bounce back a little bit.
Yeah.
Thank you all for tuning into the podcast. This was episode 11. You can find us on Twitter at @footy_fans, PHANS. We also have our podcast posted up on YouTube, so you guys can find us there. And we also have an Instagram account now. I think it's just called Footy Fan Pods or Footy Fan Podcast. So find us there too. We're posting breaking news, podcast updates, show updates, and anything else that we can kind of think of.
Yeah. Anything this comes to mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, thank you everyone for tuning in, and we will catch up next week with all of the week's action.
All right. See you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Ciao.